Everybody, the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of Wednesday, September 11th, 2019 is called to order. The City of Goodyear Fire Department Honor Guard will post colors and stand at formation while we complete the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, arm. Ready, wait. Order, arm. Now please join me in a moment of silence for all the victims of 9/11. Thank you. Will the Secretary please note the roll for this evening?
Commissioner Ellison is present. Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Commissioner Clymer is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is present. Chairman Bray is absent. We have a quorum.
At this time, we need a vote to excuse members unable to attend. Can I have a motion for Chairman Bray?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we excuse Chairman Bray from tonight's meeting.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Can I have all those in favor please say aye?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Item 1 is to approve the minutes of the previous commission meeting from August 7th. Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda item. Do we have any speaker cards for anyone? Does anyone have anything to discuss? This is always a good time for me to mention that the Planning and Zoning Commission is a group of volunteers that are appointed, and you too can serve on this and many other commissions in the city of Goodyear. So if you're a resident, take a look at our website and consider serving on one of our many commissions.
That's exactly right. What do you guys say? Like it.
Okay. On to disclosure of ex parte communications. Does any member have any outside communications to? Very good. Then we will move on to public hearings. The first case is being presented to us by Katie Wilken.
Vice Chairman, if you could please open the public hearing.
Yes, and I now open the hearing.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Commission. This request is a use permit for a convenience use. It's for a proposed KFC restaurant, which will be located at the Canyon Trails Town Center, which is northeast of Cotton Lane and Yuma Road. It's on a 1-acre parcel located on the south side, right here, of the property. The proposal includes a 2,200 square foot building. The drive-through includes queuing for up to 11 cars, which exceeds our requirement of 5-car queuing, and includes the appropriate parking required for the use. The elevations meet the Canyon Trails Town Center standards. This is the north and south elevation, and this is the east and west elevation of the restaurant. They will still need to go through site plan approval after the use permit as well. Staff has found that the proposed use meets our codes and ordinances. We have not received any inquiries from the public regarding this proposal, and so staff recommends approval of the use permit. The applicant is also here if you have any questions of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak to the commission on this item? It is optional. It's up to you. We're good. Do we have any speaker cards on this item? Very good. Then I will close the public hearing and open it up to discussion among the commission members. No discussion for anyone. Very good. Can I have a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve number 19-300-00006.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we approve this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you very much. Very well, we will move on to the next item, use permit for an existing use, which I think is Chick-fil-A, and Steve will present to us. This now opens the public hearing.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission members. This is a use permit for an existing convenience use. And that use is the Chick-fil-A within Palm Valley Cornerstone. And we have Dysart Road, McDowell Road. We have the Lowe's, Walmart, and Fry's just for our wayfinding here as we look at this property. Property here, 1.3 acres. Again, it has the existing Chick-fil-A restaurant on it. Site plan was approved in 2003, so this use has been in existence for several years. The applicant indicated to staff that they are a very busy restaurant. A lot of that demand comes through the drive-through use. So they were proposing several modifications to the site. Because it is a use permit use, major modifications do require that to go back through the use permit process. So that's why modifications such as this have to come back before the commission and council. These are the modifications that the applicant is proposing. The one I'd like to probably highlight would be this top two, the reconfiguring of the single drive-through lane to a double lane, which then requires removal of several parking spaces within the center. And this is the site plan proposal for the center. And we can see what the proposal includes is now, instead of a single, we're now proposing a double drive-through lane that will then come back to a single lane, wrap around the building to the pickup window, and then exit here as is usual right now with the existing operation. The existing parking spaces to be removed are those that were right here along the eastern edge of the parking field. Right now, 46 parking spaces are required for this use. 39 spaces will be provided on site once all the improvements are done. So they will have a deficit, but there is a shared parking agreement within the Palm Valley Cornerstone development, so they are able to pick up that deficit with the surplus provided within the center. These are the elevations proposed for the restaurant. This red square highlights part of a building addition that will be added on for additional space within the building. It will match the existing materials and colors for the building. And just some minor modifications that we're proposing, some new awnings, some new light fixtures, and addition of a canopy over the pickup window area. Because it is a public hearing, we did notice this item as required by code. posted the property legal ad in the newspaper, notice to surrounding property owners. To date, staff has not received any public inquiries or opposition to this request. We do find it will not be materially detrimental to the surrounding area. We find this is reasonably compatible. All the uses within the center have been existing without adverse impacts for several years now. As such, we are recommending approval subject to those 4 stipulations in the staff report. With that, Mr. Chairman, staff is available for questions. The applicant is also here if you have questions.
I do have one question, but I'll open it up to the commissioners first. No? So I saw a shade canopy over on the north side of the building. Is there also a shade canopy over the driveways as well? I see a dashed line around there on the site plan.
Yes, sir. I believe if this is the area, there is one now over the single lane. They will continue that and provide a canopy over the double lane now. Provide shade for those waiting in line and for their employees as well as who will help assist customers in the line.
So it's basically the same design, style, and color. They're just going to enlarge it.
It will be, this one will be more of a metal structure, colors to match the site.
Like, oh, so it's like what we see on the north side.
Yes.
I didn't notice an elevation for that canopy, so I wanted to make sure I understood it. Okay, that was my only question. No more? Does the applicant wish to speak? Do you have any questions for the applicant?
No.
No. Very good. Are there any speaker cards on this item? No speaker cards. Very well. I will close the public hearing then and open it up to discussion for the commission.
Just an observation. I know it's an extremely busy parking lot and drive-through. I know this would probably be a big help and advantage to the business to expand that and make it simpler to get through. So, makes sense.
No, I agree. The drive-through is always packed, and the parking is always packed too. So yeah. You're just going to push those people across the little aisle there. If I remember right, there is a crosswalk painted across there, so people can easily get across from the parking
At Lowe's.
At Lowe's, across the drive aisle into across that where it's labeled private drive. I thought I saw a crosswalk painted somewhere so people could walk across.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, at this time, there is no marked crosswalk, at least not in this area right here, where you might park here and walk over to the entrance. You would probably notice there are stipulations of approval that are asking the applicant to conduct a specific traffic study for the site, specifically looking at pedestrian safety. So if that study identifies that there is a need for a crosswalk or signage, then it will be put in prior to the C of O for the improvements.
It's a great question.
I don't know, if I had to pick between more parking or 2 lanes, I think I'd go with 2 lanes.
Absolutely.
On this spot. Yeah. Okay, any more discussion from the commission? Very well, then I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number 19350000002.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we approve this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will move on to the next item, number 4, preliminary plat. And we get to keep Steve. Very good. I wanted to ask a point of an order point with the director. These next 3 items, 4, 5, and 6, are they related, or are they separate parcels?
I'm sorry, yes.
Or I should say 5 and 6. Are 5 and 6 related?
Yes. Well, actually, they're in Australia, but they're different parcels, so probably do need to have them separate.
You know where I was going. I was going to ask if we could hear them together or not. But okay, very well. Please continue.
Thank you for asking.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, we have tonight a preliminary plat for an industrial development. That property is located this is Yuma Road, Bullard Avenue. So we're looking at the Prologis Commerce Park here. We have existing development coming in around this property. We have LGE, Compass Data Centers. We have Chewy and Nike. To the south, we have the Goodyear Phoenix Airport proposed industrial development also to the south. Zoned I-1, light industrial, that was rezoned back in 2018. 2019, we had a site plan for industrial buildings approved. And this drawing just shows that we've got, this is Bullard here, Yuma Road, north is facing this way. Several phases. Right now, phase one would be in a larger industrial building on the northern part of the property, which coincides with one of the first lots you'll see. And then you have other lots here for future industrial development. And the proposal is it's about 112 acres, 5 industrial lots, and 1 tract. Again, the subdivision is designed to facilitate future industrial development of the property. The 1 tract is located at the corner of Bullard and Yuma. That is for future development of entry monumentation signage by the city. And this is the proposal for the subdivision. 1 lot next, which is the largest here, then the other 4 lots here. This line here is an existing property line that's shown. So, but these are the darker lines are the lot divisions that you will see with this plat. Reviewing this plat, we do find it consistent with the property's I-1 zoning, is consistent with our subdivision regulations, continues the orderly development of this area as in this developing area. As such, for all those reasons, we are recommending approval subject to the 6 stipulations in the staff report. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Available for any questions.
Any questions for Steve? Very good. Do I get to open the public hearing on this one, or not because it's a play? Man, I thought I was going to get to use the gavel one more time. Very good. No questions for Steve. Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards? Very good. Would the applicant like to speak? Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant from the commission? No. Nobody. Very good. Then I will open up to commission discussion. Are there any items to discuss? Very good. Then I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve file number 19-500-00009.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we approve this item. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Thank you very much. Next, agenda item number 5, preliminary plat, and Katie will present to us twice for both of them.
Thank you again, Chairman and members of the Commission. This first one is the preliminary plat for parcel 9.30. It's located northeast of 182nd Drive and Mountain Vista Drive, which is just west of Willis Road. So you can see it outlined in red. It's approximately 15 acres, and the proposal would subdivide the property into 62 residential lots. It would allow for the development of approximately 50-foot wide lots. There's 19% open space, which exceeds our minimum requirements. Staff has found that the preliminary plat meets our codes and ordinances, and we recommend approval.
Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to speak on this item? Do we have any questions for the applicant? Do we have any questions? I forgot to ask first. Do we have any questions for Katie?
With the 50-foot wide lots, are they going to do some concessions because it's a smaller lot size? Or do we do that with the second hearing?
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioner Kish. This is part of the Montecito zoning, and so that area was rezoned before, I believe, we did our text amendment with our new standards, but it includes some of those same concepts. But basically, the Montecito zoning booklet, so it's separate from the city zoning, has the items they have to meet in there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions for our planning manager? Do we have any speaker cards? I really thought there was going to be some speaker cards on this one. Very well. And I will open it up to commission discussion. Do we have any question, anything we want to debate? No debate. Okay, very good. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-500-00001.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Please, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much, and Katie will continue for us on agenda item 6.
All right, this item is parcel 9.28, which is adjacent to the one you just saw. It's approximately 18 acres and proposes subdividing into 64 residential lots. There is a similar lot size, minimum 50-foot wide lots, and this one has approximately 24% open space. There is a unique stipulation on this one that the parcel 9.3 has to be recorded ahead of this one because this isn't working, but you kind of see this secondary access is provided by parcel 9.3. So this one is dependent on the parcel 9.3 for the secondary access.
91.
Okay. Staff has found that this preliminary plat meets our codes and ordinances, and we recommend approval.
Thank you, Katie. Do we have any questions for Katie? No. Thank you very much. Any for the applicant? No. Would the applicant like to speak? I know I just said that, but I have to say it again. Very good. I will open it up to commission discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 19-500-0002.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 7, a briefing on general plan amendments from our long-range planner, Mr. Schmidt, who I haven't seen in some time.
Here tonight. Mr. Chairman, Commission members, as you noted, I'm going to give you a little briefing on the general plan amendments. Which one works this? Up. Was that you, Jeff? Okay. The wizard behind the screen took care of it.
He's the grand wizard.
Okay, so we typically give you a briefing on the general plan amendments that were filed in a given year, so you just kind of know what's coming. There's no action requested tonight. It's merely just to provide you with information. And we haven't had any for some time, so I'll give you a little refresher first. There's major amendments to the general plan and minor amendments to the general plan, and then certain things that are considered no amendment. So a major amendment changes the land use categories of 160 acres or more. So if you have a proposal that affects more than 160 acres in changing the land use, then it qualifies as a major, and it has to follow the process for major general plan amendments. Any changes to goals or objectives in the general plan is a major amendment, as well as changes to the vision or fundamental strategies or changes to the development standards. The process by which major general plan amendments are reviewed involves what's called a 60-day review period, where we send the application to other jurisdictions that may have an interest in what the proposed change is. That includes adjoining municipalities, counties, state agencies, Luke Air Force Base, and several others that are prescribed in the statutes. And then all major amendments are reviewed at the same time. So we have a calendar that in order to have a major amendment considered, you have to submit by a certain date, and they all get processed at the same time. And I think the principle behind that is it makes sense to look at all of the changes at the same time so that you are able to evaluate the impact of one change on another and the entire general plan instead of doing them one at a time. Minor amendments involve changes to land use categories that are between 20 and 160 acres. So they're considered not as significant as a major, and it has a slightly different process. Also qualifying as minor amendments are changes to any overlays, changes to the roadway plan, changes to action items in the general plan, and changes to the policies. The process for minor amendments does not involve a 60-day review period with the adjoining jurisdictions. Only one public hearing is held by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and one public hearing by the City Council. And then minor amendments may be reviewed at any time during the year. I think I skipped a slide where the major amendment process involves two public hearings by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the two public hearings that have to be at different locations. So as I mentioned, we'll mention in a minute, we're going to have a special meeting on the 25th at Las Brisas Academy, so that we are at a remote location. And then the second public hearing will be held back here during your regular meeting. And then there's these which qualify as no amendment. So if you have a change in land use category that's less than 20 acres, that's considered to be insignificant in the context of the entire city or general plan. We can also make changes to fix Scribner's errors. So mistakes sometimes happen. So if we find something that we left the apostrophe out or put it in the wrong place, we can fix those. Changes to document format, photos, graphics, tables, maps, changes to general text, and changes to items in the appendices. So for tonight, I'm going to review the Lake and Park area general plan amendment. It was, and actually all the amendments that I'm going to discuss tonight were filed by our department. This one in particular was filed by our department in cooperation with the major landowners in the area. The area affected is 2,283 acres. It's south of MC 85, west of Saraville Road, and north of the Gila River. And the principal changes to the land use categories are from residential to business and commerce and industrial. And I'll have a map up in just a minute. What did I do? There. And then there's also changes to land use categories from residential to open space for land that's located in the Gila River floodway, and a change to the roadway plan to reflect the planned location of the SR 303, alternately known as the Loop 303 and the SR 30. So this is an excerpt from the existing general plan map, and so this dark line is the boundary of the proposed area proposed for change. And you can see most of it along MC 85 was designated for neighborhood development. However, in talking with the landowner and offering our opinions about the best, what the land would be best suited for, particularly with the proximity of the freeways, we worked with the landowner to change this from neighborhood to primarily industrial and some business and commerce. The other change, as I noted, was from neighborhoods primarily in this area along by the Cotton Lane Bridge, which actually is coincident with the floodway for the Gila River, which by the rules and regulations governing development in a floodway, development is fairly unlikely to occur. And I mentioned floodway as opposed to floodplain. Floodplain is the area of shallow water. Usually it's kind of standing, it's not flowing. The floodway is the principal channel for the river where most of the water flows on a regular basis. The proposed change, you can see now that the area north of the freeway and an area in this eastern side is being proposed for industrial development. And then the area south of the transmission lines in the freeway are being proposed for business and commerce. And then those are the two primary changes. And then the open space area in this portion of the map is the area that is in the floodplain and therefore not likely suitable for residential development. The first minor amendment is what we're referring to as Perryville and Southern area. It is 868 acres and it's on the other side of MC-85 from where we were just talking. And it runs from the railroad tracks south to where MC-85 joins up with Perryville Road, and then Perryville Road is the western boundary. This change, our proposal, has no changes to the land use categories at all. The principal change is to the roadway plan to reflect the plan location of the Loop 303 and SR 30. So here we are back on the same general plan land use map, except now we're on the other side of MC-85 from the railroad tracks down to where MC-85 meets Perryville. And the underlying land use here is business and commerce predominantly. And so there are no changes to the land uses, but the principal change is recognizing the fact that the interchange for the Loop 303, which is coming down this direction from Cotton Lane, meets up with the State Route 30 in this area and then continues to the east. This TI, or traffic interchange, has been designated as the planned location for these roadways by ADOT's study, the design concept report, and environmental assessment that was done. So that brings it to a point in the project development process where the right-of-way is somewhat set. They can actually, ADOT can actually entertain doing advance acquisition at that point. It is also dependent on funding, so it doesn't mean they're going to run right out there and do it tomorrow, but it sets the stage for that next step in the process. And then the last one, the third amendment, it's also a minor amendment, and it is a proposal to amend the growth policy text. Currently, objective GD 2-2 discourages rezoning to higher intensity outside of growth areas until infrastructure is in place and necessary resources are available. Growth areas are defined in the text as areas within development impact fee areas which have projects in the infrastructure improvement plan. Targeted job centers, which are typically freeway corridors and the area around the airport. The designated redevelopment area and areas in transit-oriented development overlays, and then areas within a quarter mile of existing development. I'm going to stay on that point. Somehow I missed the slide, I guess. I was going to show you the growth areas a little bit in more detail than what was on the previous slide. So the council had reviewed this matter in connection with the potential development of lands in the Rainbow Valley area and directed staff to take a look at this matter and come back with a proposed amendment to the general plan. And so that is what is being proposed in that case. So the schedule is that the 60-day review ended on September 6th. No significant comments were received. The first public hearing will be on September 25th at Las Brisas Academy. And if you have any problem finding it, just let us know. We'll make sure you get there. The Lake Park area and the Perryville and Southern area will both be considered, even though the Perryville and Southern is a minor and doesn't require a second public hearing, but because it involves the same roadway alignment that's in the other proposal, we felt it would be best to address them both at the same time. The second public hearing will be held on October 16th, and all three of the proposed amendments will be considered at that time. At the second public hearing, we'll ask for the commission to make a recommendation at that time. The first meeting will just have a presentation and take public comment with no action expected. And then finally, the City Council public hearing will be held on October 28th if everything goes according to schedule. And all three of those items will be considered at that time. So that's what's coming in the pipeline. So you have been warned.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Schmidt?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
It's kind of ridiculous, but I don't. One of the slides says that you, to make a major amendment change of 60, is it 60 acres? That
Over
what you do is
160.
you consult other areas. Do you do that as a courtesy? I think you used Luke Air Force Base as your example.
No, Chairman Barnes and Commissioner Maloney. What I was referring to is for the major general plan amendment, there's what's called a 60-day review required. We have to give notice to certain state agencies, adjoining jurisdictions, Luke Air Force Base, give them an opportunity to review it and comment over a 60-day period. That's what I was referring to when I mentioned Luke Air Force Base. In this instance, we're proposing a major general plan amendment because actually the property owners had initiated a request for a zoning change. And in discussion, in our review process by staff, we had discussions with the property owner regarding whether or not the residential zoning really would be appropriate at this location, and talked to them about considering changing it to industrial. And since they had already, after a lot of discussion and due consideration, they agreed to do that, and we offered to carry the request instead of making them make an application, since they were cooperating with something that we thought was in the best interest of the city.
Okay, thank you.
When the meeting is on September 25th, will there be more explanation of why these changes were made, or is that now the time to ask those questions?
Chairman Barnes, Commissioner Kish, tonight is not the night really to dig deep. There will be a presentation at the 25th and the 16th as well to give you all the background information. However, if you have a burning question or an item that you would like us to look at or be sure that we look at before the meeting, we'd be glad to hear that.
Mainly just the long-term effect of changing these. Like, what is the major end result of changing these designations? What does the direction Goodyear is going in this area? The major vision is basically what in 20, 30 years will Goodyear look drastically different as a result of these changes, or is it just checking off a box to make sure some compliance measure is taken so that there isn't a problem in the future? I just didn't know if this was when you say major amendments, my ears perk up. So I just, in the effort of making sure Goodyear, we all care about Goodyear. We want to make sure that is, I don't know how different this will look in 20 to 30 years.
No, that's a perfectly good comment, and we appreciate, and we'll make sure it's addressed when we make our presentation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions for Joe? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is staff communications. This is always the interesting part, where Chris tells us
Wow.
what happened to the stuff we voted on.
We're really expecting big things.
Is that
right
because of or in spite of us, right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I'd like to thank you all and our Commissioner Bray for the idea of the color guard tonight. Obviously, today's a incredibly important moment in time for our country, and certainly thank you for the remembrance. And we appreciate the firemen coming by to do this honor for us. So thank you. So I'm just going to give you a recap. If you remember our August meeting, we had quite a few items on the agenda, and all of those particular items cascaded to the August 19th City Council meeting. They included the Vida del Cedro Ranch, the single-family rental project, that rezoning, a couple of cases for Pebble Creek Marketplace to allow freeway pylon signs, the Goodyear Rec Campus rezoning, a zoning change for Camelback Center, which is up off of Camelback Road, just south of Luke Air Force Base in the PV 303 area. A plat for Pradera, a preliminary plat for Bennett Meadows. Both of those are single-family projects. 2 plats in Australia for single-family projects. And then also several plats in Pebble Creek for single-family projects. Those all were considered and approved by the council on the 19th of August. Or excuse me, October. Yeah, August. Yeah, I was going to say October, but excuse me, August 19th. And just a couple of reminders, as we just heard from Joe. Thank you, Joe, for that. And as you all acknowledged, our special meeting coming up on the 25th at Las Brisas School. So we'll be getting you an agenda and so forth. It is obviously off-site, and we're working on AV-type solutions as well there. So that is required to have this off-site meeting as part of the process. So it'll be a little bit different, but we'll help you through it. And we look forward to that. Also, if you remember, we were going to schedule the training from ULI on that same night, and they are unable to attend that evening. So we're currently working with them to see if they are available on our regular meeting night of October 9th. So more detail on that coming. We haven't given up on that, and we appreciate the ULI supporting us and donating their time to provide us some good training. And we'll get it scheduled just as soon as we can get all the parties aligned.
Is that the Urban Land Institute?
Oh, I'm sorry, 16th, October 16th. I've been corrected. Thank you. Right. Which was moved because of Columbus Day. So thank you, Katie, for that reminder. I'm sorry, you had a question?
ULI, Urban Land Institute?
Urban Land Institute, that's correct, which is a nationwide organization that is really a very high profile, very well known and very well respected organization nationwide. So some local participants in that organization have donated their time to come do some training with us, which I think is fantastic. So we really appreciate their support. Finally, I'll also say, as you know, that you've heard us talk about this a little bit on and off over the past 3 years or so about our process improvements that we've been working on in not only development services, but engineering and so on and so forth. Really all around the city, but primarily for the purposes of what you all are here about is just the development process. Katie and I did a presentation at our national conference, which you remember I spoke to one of these recaps. We also spoke at our local Arizona conference as well. And then recently we were asked by our national organization to write a article in our professional publication that goes out to about 40,000 people. So it's really kudos to Katie and the team for all the effort that she put in. She and the team and everybody really frankly has put into it, and that we continue to garner this nationwide recognition for the dedication and the commitment and the effort and also the results of our process improvements. So it's really a big honor to be able to be part of that, and I certainly wanted to share that with you all. And you all are also part of that. If you remember, we moved our meeting date in order to facilitate getting items to the next council meeting instead of waiting about 4 weeks. So thank you for your cooperation in that regard. You're one of the reasons that we can be so successful. With that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Do we have any questions for staff? I have a question, but I'll go last. No. Well, two questions actually. So the next September meeting, will we hear other items in addition to the general plan amendment, or is it just the general plan amendment?
Just the general plan amendment.
Okay. Okay. My other question is, one of the topics that I've been hearing comments from residents on and seen in the newspaper is short-term house rentals in cities, such as Airbnb. And in many cases, it turns into a big party house that ends up right next to somebody, and it sounds like there's little recourse for someone if you own a home and the house next to you becomes a rental, short-term rental, and people throw parties and crazy things happen. Seems like there's not a lot people can do. So I was hoping that maybe staff could prepare a short presentation for us and let us know where we stand and what kind of options we have and what kind of action we can take.
Sure. Sure thing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that question. I know that there was some state law that essentially prohibited or very much limited what cities could do in response to short-term rentals. There's been, in many of the other jurisdictions in our state that are very much have a more tourist economy than we do. I know it's been very challenging. There's been an outcry from those communities, and I think the legislature has begun to rethink that process, and I think we're going to see some changes to that legislation, I think. Of course, we don't know exactly what they'll do, but that's what I've seen in some of the email traffic that's been shared about what's going on in the state. So, but we'll be happy to put together what we do currently, what the current law does, and what we currently are allowed to do.
Just last time that we requested a research and presentation, I don't know who was here, maybe a couple of you, and Katie did this great self-driving cars and what kind of effect that's going to have on our community and it has a big effect on urban planning. Maybe you can do a recap a year later and see what's changed. And it was really helpful and informative. So. Very good. If there is no other business for this, I'm looking at all right, the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be on September 25th, 6 p.m. at the Las Brisas Academy Elementary School. If there's no further business to discuss, this meeting is adjourned.